thing you said really stuck out to me when you were like, this game feels very energetic.
Yes.
I feel like that's a very good description of it that I didn't think of myself.
Yeah.
Where it really does have like, even though it's an RPG, you're reading a lot of dialogue and you are doing this turn-based battling. There's something about it that makes it feel very like you're continue to go. You're moving along.
There's something happening.
Something is happening. Yeah, you don't feel like you're just like slogging through parts of the game. So I think that's a really good way to describe how this feels different from other Mario RPGs. It's very like vibrant.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many like really good just one-off game mechanics that on their own, kind of a whatever, but throw them into the mix. Like it does that a lot when you're in the battle and like somebody's gonna throw a tomato at you.
Yes.
Like you have to keep your eye on that. There's just or like the way that some of the special attacks, the way that you trigger those, are really unique and really fun. And yeah, there's just like so much. You can tell they had a good time making this game and coming up with all these creative ideas and feeding it.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think just a good job adding more and more to those mechanics and to the partners that you get. And like you sort of get this sense of like, oh, I gotta learn something a bit different here, and like a little bit of an experiment of like how to do this right. But so it feels like fresh when you choose different partners in the battles, but still like feel very satisfied. The way that they together, where you don't feel frustrated like,
Right. So we played a lot of RPGs this year.
We did.
Played like Dragon, played Final Fantasy, probably a couple others I've forgotten. This is obviously a 20-year-old game, but how does it feel going from those games earlier this year to this game now, which is obviously not an original game?
Yeah, I feel like this one, there's elements of it that does feel like it's a remake, like it's a 20-year-old game. There's definitely like things that they could not do 20 years ago that they had to like kind of put some guardrails up, and that's fine. I think that's we can take that at face value because you kind of understand this is a remake. It certainly doesn't have like as much of the really like innovative like battle mechanics some of the other modern RPGs that we've played.
I don't know. I might debate that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do feel like some of those RPGs like the Dragon, like the battle mechanics in there is like next level.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even feel like it is not used, but it doesn't even feel like it. It feels like such a mix between action and
the Like a Dragon battle music just started playing in my head as you were having this conversation.
Yeah, but there's something like very fresh and modern about the way that some of these more the quote-unquote like style of traditional RPG gameplay.
But that game does pull a lot from you hit the button at the right time, you can do a stronger attack.
Yeah.
Your positioning matters, like you can change it. Like that's something I didn't realize is like your character who you have in the front is the one who's mostly getting attacked.
Right.
It seems like 80% of the time that's the person who's getting attacked, so there's some strategy of doing that and like the ordering of the attacks.
Yeah.
Certain enemies that you can't reach with certain partners' attacks. So obviously that's kind of almost like a hybrid of turn-based and real time because you can move your character around. But I did see a lot of correlations to this, and I wouldn't say this felt old or dated.
I think it just felt more simplistic. It definitely has the elements of sort of this modern RPG style gameplay that's like super slick and just feels very like action oriented, very fast-paced, like you're doing all this strategic thinking, but in a very like snappy way.
Right.
This feels like it has every element to your point. Like it does have the strategy, it does have the timed attacks, it has specials, you can do in the modern RPGs as well, but it feels like a very like boiled down, simple version of all those things. But I think that's fine, for this type of game. Like you're still getting that satisfaction of when you perfectly execute a timed attack, or when you have the right partner to do like some sort of AoE, whatever. You still have a satisfaction, that kind of sense of like, oh, I did this perfectly. Like, this is the best has strategy, he has enemy. But each of those individual things that you're doing is pretty simple. That is because it's a 25-year game, you know? So I do think that it holds up, you know, like I'm having a lot of fun with the battling and just the RPG style in general, but it does feel like a little bit more simplistic as well. So,
okay. Do you think maybe one of the reasons, again, this doesn't, I'm so focused on this point of like, why doesn't this get brought up with like the great RPGs? Like, does this game feel enough like an RPG? Do you think people get hung up on like the semantics of like, well, it's kind of a hybrid, like you're jumping around, you're doing stuff, you're freely exploring maybe in ways that you weren't in some of the other RPGs of the time? That's a thought that I had of it is not just